Hello and welcome to the program Your Health. Last week on the program we examined decisive factors in the maintenance of health. Today our focus is on water, which is one of the factors. Water is known to be a source of life, a universal solvent, an internal and external cleanser, both physically and spiritually. Water is indispensable to life, as it forms about 65% of our body. Therefore, the water we drink is as important as the air we breathe. But just what kind of water does the body need? My guest is Mr. Henry Osuji, the manufacturer of FNIEB Nutritherapy Water. He will shed more light on this. Mr. Henry Osuji, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're looking at water. And we have displayed here on the table FNIEB Nutritherapy Water. May we know, what do you mean by FNIEB?
FNIEB is a symbol that represents foundation nutritherapists and internal energy biographers. We develop health foods in order to manage human energy.
Well, what is the difference between, we're told this is nutritherapy water. So what is the difference between FNIEB Nutritherapy Water and ordinary water?
Ordinary water, as we have mentioned in the introduction, is mainly to rehydrate the body system. Nutritherapy water is about 4 grades higher than ordinary water because, as the name indicates, it is both nutritional and therapeutic in nature, and in addition, it rehydrates the body. So it's just the equivalent of natural herbs, drawn naturally from the Mother Earth. So instead of being in the plant form, we now have it in the liquid form. As we go further, we shall explain further.
Well, thank you very much. So now that we've been told that nutritherapy water is medicinal, so to speak, who should take nutritherapy water?
Nutritherapy water is basically for everybody, both in disease and in health. For convalescence, it is an excellent product. For preventive purposes, it's also excellent. Both women, men, old people, young people, children. It's good for everybody.
So we know that the composition of nutritherapy water contains sodium. Is it also good for hypertensive and diabetic patients?
That's an excellent question. Sodium, there's a school of thought that thinks sodium should be avoided for hypertensive patients. But they are right if there is no potassium compensation in the product. Now, the level of potassium salt is very high, and people who have cardiac cases, hypertension, and others value it as much because it regulates. If you have low blood pressure, it regulates, normalizes it. If you have high blood pressure, it also brings it down because it has other components that work together with sodium. Diabetic patients are also highly favored because the water is basically an alkalizing agent, and insulin works better in alkaline milieu. So people who have insulin resistance benefit a lot from it. And when somebody falls into diabetic coma, for instance, the immediate treatment is giving the person sodium and potassium solution in form of drip or oral treatment, and we have all of them naturally present in nutritherapy water.
Well, let's look at other areas of ailment. Can nutritherapy water be used to cure typhoid and malaria?
I will not say it is used to cure typhoid and malaria, but it helps to manage those ailments. Now, malaria mainly attacks the liver, and any problem the liver has is always remedied by the use of potassium, which gives a greater immunity to the body system. So whatever is the problem in the digestive system, which is the main area typhoid fever attacks and malaria, whatever is the problem with liver or the digestive system, nutritherapy water has natural compositions that increases the immunity of the body, and it acts directly also on the liver to strengthen it. So it does not allow the germs or the microbes that are present during typhoid fever attacks to attack the body easily. So, and at the same time, somebody who has typhoid always passes a lot of water, so you need a replacement. And when you are replacing the water, it needs to go with the natural minerals that fortifies the body. So that's where it comes in.
Well, thank you very much. You say Nutritherapy Water is therapeutic, but how can water be therapeutic?
It's another excellent question. In the olden days, in the ancient Roman Empire and the old civilizations we have, they already know that an aspect of water can be curative. That's why you have institutions like spas, you have thalassotherapy, balneotherapy, hydrotherapy. You see all expressions showing how you can use water as a treatment. Now, hydromineral therapy is a basic aspect of health science, in which we use special water to treat certain diseases in the body. In our own case, we specialize in the internal use of water as a treatment. That's why we call it oral hydromineral therapy. Hydro and mineral. So the liquid is there and the minerals it carries in form of electrolytes. So now the water is so essential because it is the excipient, that's the transporter of the active agents that are present in the solution. And since the electrolytes, which are the different minerals inside, they are active agents that are in the ionic state. So the body can absorb them very fast, instantly. So within 5-10 minutes, you have started feeling the effect already.
Well, let's look at the dosage. What is the dosage and how do you use it?
Yes. Specifically, Nutritherapy water is to be used as a substitute for drinking water. And within a day, the body loses 2.5 liters of water through transpiration, perspiration, urinating, and all others. And in order to keep the hydric balance, the water balance in the body, we need to drink at least 1.5 liters every day. And the remaining 1 liter should normally come from our food. Or it depends on the type of food we eat. If you chew dry bread throughout the day, you won't have 1 liter. So you need to have things that are cooked with water. Now, the bottle you see here is 1.25 liters. That is the basic dosage for the day. It is a therapeutic dose. It is possible to have the small bottles, but it will be confusing for the public. So we prefer to keep the big size bottle. So once you finish 1 to 2 bottles a day, you know you have the minimum you require to have therapeutic effect. And it's written on the label, however.
Well, let's look at the product research. How long did you carry out this research before bringing it out, in the market?
Okay, thank you. The research is a continuous effort. I can say I started it in 1994. I am based in France. I've been in France since 1984. So I finished my first degree in Nigeria. I studied French, then I did an MBA in Nigeria and went to France for my PhD in business administration. After which I went to the medical school and specialized in dietetics and nutritional diseases. So I am basically trained in how to use food or diet in treating certain ailments like diabetes, like high cholesterol, like obesity, all types of illnesses. So in the course of the process, we were really studying diabetes when I discovered that the solution they use to treat someone who falls into a diabetic coma is basically sodium and potassium solution. And I know it could be got naturally, and that was the spark of. And I started. So since 1994, I had been on it, and luckily the country in which I'm based is the country where you find the greatest number of natural sources like this, of which you have many very therapeutic. So I had to go into them, analyze the sources, study them, and then test them on human beings, and then test them on climatic conditions too, and found out that they are more effective under tropical conditions. Well, since I'm a Nigerian, there's no way I can forget my country. I decided to introduce it first in Nigeria. I have outlets also in India, in Senegal, in Cameroon, in Benin Republic, and others. But we want to concentrate on our own country first of all. So in spite of all the barriers we have had in the past years, we still decided, and luckily with the new NAFDAC, people are responding. There is dialogue. Maybe we'll get to that question.
Let's look at the product itself. Why do you have two products when both can do the same thing?
Okay. It's not 100% right that both can do the same thing.
Okay.
They can basically do the same thing, but since they are two different, it means they have two different compositions. Okay. When you look at the labels, there is a mountain on the green bottle, which is Nutritherapy Water 5, and there are 2 mountains on the blue bottle, which is Nutritherapy Water 3. It is symbolical. Water 3 is double in concentration when compared with Water 5, but it doesn't mean that it is more active, because the trace elements are also involved in the therapeutic activities of the products. And there are certain trace elements that are higher in concentration in Water 5 than in Water 3, but they are not enumerated in figures. So that's why we advise that people should alternate them in use. You may, if you are taking 2 bottles a day, you may finish Water 3 and then continue with Water 5 within the same day. Or you take 1 glass of this and 1 glass of that. Or in the same glass, you can put half of this and half of this. So you can vary them as you like until you find an adequate proportion for you. So since it's a natural product, it adapts to human consumption. Your body will detect which one is best for you. But all of them are equally active.
So let's look at the composition of the product. It shows that they contain nitrate, which I learned is not good for human consumption. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, yes. Every mineral element is both positive and negative to human use. Now, nitrate at a certain level causes cancer when it is boiled. That is as from 50 milligrams, above 50 milligrams per liter. But the absence of it is also negative, because it is needed. Nitric oxide, for instance, is a very important element in blood in dilation of arteries. For those who have hypertension, heart cases, they benefit from nitrate. So, for instance, the nitrate content in Water 5 is a bit higher than that in Water 3. That's why we say they are not exactly the same thing. So, the nitrate level there is very, very safe, far below the maximum. So there is no problem with the nitrate level. It's just like the sodium we mentioned above, we mentioned before. So sodium has an extent to which it will reach before you start complaining, for those who have hypertension. But whatever the dosage, as long as you have enough potassium to compensate the action, it is all right. Okay.
Well, on the label, we noticed that it's written untreated. How can the product be medicinal without treatment?
That's a very good question. Let me give an example of the pure water people know normally. Yeah. The regulation says they must be treated in order to eliminate germs and chemical pollutants. In the case of Nutritherapy water, the European law that governs the production and the exploitation of this type of product says they must not be chemically treated. So when we say untreated, we mean no chemical is added to it for preservation or for purification, because they travel far deep into the earth crust. At that depth, the temperature is already more than 1,000 degrees Celsius, so no germs can survive. The pressure is very high, and that is why you have the natural gas that makes it effervescent in it. So when they emerge from that source, you really don't need any treatment because the germs are not there, no chemical pollutants, and that is why they remain therapeutic. The composition does not change, the temperature does not change. So we do not need treatment, even though they are medicinal in nature. What makes them medicinal are the different compositions they have. Calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and then the different salts like bicarbonate, like sulfate, nitrate, and others. So they are the active agents.
Okay. So how does the product have expiry date when it is not treated?
Good. International law says that any food item or any drug item must be given an expiry date or a best before date. So we are forced to determine a best before date by analyzing the product over a long period of time. 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and we find out that the products are still intact. They are not contaminated, as long as you have not opened them. So, but we are forced to put 2 years shelf life for them, for people to consume them fast. Otherwise, there is no expiry naturally for this. So, but if you note very well, we did not say expiry date for these products. We use the expression best before date, which is different from expiry date.
So what's the difference between expiry date and best before date?
Okay. For drug products, expiry dates are normally used because that is a date which you must not exceed by 1 second. Otherwise, the product becomes dangerous for the body if it is consumed after that date. But for best before date, as the name indicates, it is a date before which the product is best. You can still consume it after that date without any negative effect on the health, on the human health, and the therapeutic action will still be there, but you may lose certain physical qualities of the product, like effervescence. If it stays very long, the effervescence will diminish naturally because
we get eclipse of the effervescence in FNIEB therapeutic water.
Okay, yes. That's why whoever wants to open it should be careful, because it's just like the artesian wells. And the pressure there is like Andrew's liver salt. When you open it, that's what we call sparkling. You can hear the sound. You see the bubbles going. So this one though is the same thing. And this is natural. Nothing is added. That's how Mother Earth has offered it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Henry Osuji. We want to get on to the next question, and we're looking at production and manufacturing. Why is Nutritherapy Water not manufactured elsewhere? You talked about production being in France. Why is it not manufactured elsewhere? Yeah,
it is simply because we cannot carry the source, we cannot carry the earth, that part of earth where it is, and transpose it into Nigeria, for instance. The law is that the water as it is must be bottled at source with no open air transportation, which will deteriorate the quality. So you must go to where it is and pick it there and tap it from there. And even though, that's why the production may also be limited, although we have enough to cover the whole of the country. If the natural flow or rate of flow is 1,000 cubic meters per hour, you must not exceed it, otherwise you dry up the source and pollute the whole area. So we can only go to where it is, just like petroleum products. We cannot, if you don't have the what do we call it, the reserve underground, there's nothing you can do. Even though you know the chemical formula, you cannot formulate it. So that is why it is not manufacturable elsewhere. And that's why there cannot be any substitute.
So we want to find out from you as a manufacturer, is FNIEB Nutritherapy Water registered by NAFDAC? Of course, you know that NAFDAC is a regulatory body to bring in any product, any medicinal product into the country. So I want to hear from you, is it registered by NAFDAC? Okay.
I will first of all seize the opportunity to thank the present Director General of NAFDAC, because it was under her tenure that we broke through. While the old NAFDAC was there, we have made conscious efforts to bring in the product, but unfortunately we didn't have complete attention that we would have wanted to have. So it is registered. On the label you can see the NAFDAC registration number featured in red under the mountains. So it is registered under the drug section as a pharmaceutical product, natural pharmaceutical product. That's why you have the code starting with 04. It represents drug section of the NAFDAC. So at present, both of them have the same NAFDAC registration number. But very soon we shall introduce some more complicated bottles, because we are aware that some people may try to fake. So in order to make the molding more complicated, we are going to change the shape of the bottle, and at that time, FNIEB Nutritherapy Water 5 will have a different NAFDAC number too. So, but up to that moment, both are valid in the market.
Thank you very much. Well, you've just answered the question, because I was going to ask you efforts you're making to avoid adulteration and faking in Nigeria, which you have just answered. So let's look at an issue which is very disturbing, and that is the ban on the importation of water. You know, so how would table water, so to speak, so how would this affect your line, FNIEB Nutritherapy Water?
Really, you don't have anything to bother about, because just as I've said, the registration number of NAFDAC starts with 04. So it is not an ordinary drinking water, and it cannot qualify to be so, judging by the WHO's recommendations. That is the requirements for ordinary table water. This will never pass. So they are medicines. It's not because the name water is attached to the name. We have many other medicinal products that have water as part of their, it's like gripe water, which we give to our children when they have stomach problem. You have toilet water, you have heavy water, which is a chemical, and so on. So it is no problem. We are not concerned with that so far, because it is a drug, it's a pharmaceutical product, it's a medicinal product.
So how much would FNIEB Nutritherapy Water cost across the counter?
Yes, normally we leave the question of pricing and distribution to the representative in Nigeria. In Port Harcourt, you can find him at number 52 Abba Road. And the telephone number, let me seize the opportunity to give it before I come to the details of the pricing. The cell phone is 0803 3091 080 and 081. Now, because it's produced abroad, we are forced to do shipments. And when you are introducing them into the country, we are bound to pay NAFDAC charges for inspection and analysis. We are bound to pay customs clearing charges and all the other charges, VAT and so on. So, but the effort we are making is to do everything possible so that the ordinary man can get it. The recommended selling price per carton of 12 is 3,600 in the eastern part of the country. We believe somebody can spare that amount once in a while to buy a carton, but if all said and done, they find it impossible. They can raise 300 naira to buy a bottle of one and consume. People who are used to doing fasting for physical cleansing, they can do it once a week with one bottle. It's not more than drinking 3 bottles of beer or things like that, or wine. So if anybody is conscious of his health or her health, the person will make the necessary effort to take 1 or 2 bottles in a week. It's already something. So these prices, of course, the FNIEB representative in Nigeria knows, are recommended and should not be exceeded normally. So we do our best to keep to that unless there is so much change in the economy that we are forced to push up prices. Okay.
Well, just to add to what you have just answered, don't you think that price is a little on the high side? What is special about, somebody will ask, what is special about FNIEB Nutritherapy Water for it to cost 300 naira? Okay. So what do you have to say?
The first speciality about it is the effervescence you are seeing already with your eyes. I don't think there's any table water that come up with that. And in terms of bottling, it costs, it requires special attention. Price is not on the high side compared with the quality. Already the taste is not this. Where it is not water, once you taste it, you will see. Many people say it's like sodium, what do you call it? Soda water, you know, many different tests. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. You are talking about reaching to the masses to have a taste of FNIEB Nutritherapy Water. Do you have a representative in Nigeria?
Yes.
Going by the fact that this the product has just been introduced into the market.
Yes. We have a panoply, as the French people will say, of distributors headed by the representative in Nigeria. So once you mention FNIEB Nutritherapy Water, or you want to have people who are interested in distributing, they may reach the address I've given before, which is situated at number 52 Abba Road, Port Harcourt, at the telephone number 08033 091 080 and then 081. So whoever is interested in distributing or in consuming, assuming you cannot reach the distributor nearest to you, you can call that number and have a contact address.
Well, on a final note...
Sorry, before, let me chip into that. I also have a NAFDAC agent. Yeah, because I cannot be operating from France and dealing with NAFDAC from Nigeria. Communication is very difficult. So we have Sir Joseph Ihonde of Lijo Nigeria Limited in Lagos. So he is well known at NAFDAC too. So whoever has any question to ask can even go directly to NAFDAC office and make any verification. Or we have an email address too on the labels and on the cartons where people can reach me directly. No question is bad. I've been receiving wonderful ones, but I'm happy to answer them. Okay.
Thank you very much. Just before we round off this interview, can you assure us of constant supplies of FNIEB Nutritherapy Water?
For sure. Some people say their sea never dry. That's the Nigerian balance. So even if we run the experience of running out of stock, we buy and build a new factory in order to satisfy Nigerians. So Nigeria will always be in priority on our priority list. So no shortage in supply. That's why we have a network of distributors: Port Harcourt, Enugu, Onitsha, Lagos, and other places. Okay.
Well, on a final note, Mr. Henry Osuji, what is your advice to the public, health-wise?
Okay, my advice is that it is very, very important to rehydrate oneself adequately. because once the cells don't have adequate hydration, none of the metabolic activities will happen. Because the blood can no longer transport all the nutrients going around the body. The fluid in the body will be so concentrated that there will be problems here and there. And if there is shortage of water or liquid in the body, the heart and the kidney cannot function well. So even when you have headache, many times the cause is because of simply dehydration. If you drink ordinary table water, you may even have a little relief. But now when you drink FNIEB Nutritherapy Water, you have all the nutrients that come with it that will come and help to rebuild the body and give the cells a new lease of life so that they can carry out their metabolic activities. So the normal thing is to drink between 1 and 2 bottles of this every day, and then you continue with your other types of drinks. It is very essential. Then those who can endure fasting, I know not everybody can withstand hunger, and that is where this thing comes in again. When you use it, you will not feel hungry. Somebody who fasts without taking liquid is like somebody who has just washed his cloth and refused to rinse it. Then the whole dirt will dry in again with it. Because during fasting, the body breaks down reserve fat, protein, and everything in order to provide the energy the body uses at that time. So there's a lot of acidity in the system, and that is why you need to eliminate them. So it is best to fast with water, and even the day following the fasting, you continue drinking it so that it washes out completely.
Well, Mr. Henry Osuji, it's been talk, and all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, they say. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. Now that I have the privilege of a bottle of FNIEB Nutritherapy Water, I think we can drink a glass to it.
Of course.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good health.
I've just had my glass of FNIEB Nutritherapy Water. You too can have yours. A daily requirement. It gives you all the natural nutrients you need. That's it on the program, Your Health. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be with you same time next week for another interesting topic. Bye for now.